Alright, welcome to the last episode of Asterix and Obelix The Big Fight, episode 5, or episode V, depending on how you view it. So,
Yeah.
things happened at the end of the last episode, so let's see where they picked up, I guess. So, as usual, start before the Netflix Totone logo in 3, 2, 1, click.
Say of the series so far, it's been pretty good, but I think episode 4 might be the one episode that I think is kind of I don't know if black sheep's the right term because it's not even like it's terrible, but it feels like it's kind of more fillerish than meaningful.
Oh, wow. Yeah, get on with it!
Uh-oh.
So yeah, again, the big fight was just, pretense for Caesar to just unleash, his legions.
Although I guess in this case he didn't have to be underhanded since they won.
Again, even in, yeah, he actually is more of an excuse, while in the original comic they just were more sore loser. Oh, you can tell
Wait,
things.
I
you mean I've
wonder
been working for the bad guys?
Yeah,
I
really
want
metadata. Like, again, is the entire joke about metadata is that he like, oh, internet cookie guys, internet cookies are just misunderstood. They're only doing their job. They're not evil.
I kind of get what they were going for with her at first, but I really do hope that she wasn't like, so naive as to not realize that Rome's been conquering most of Europe at this point, essentially.
I know, right?
We're leaving them in a world where differences are settled
What?
peacefully? I
Yeah,
don't
don't think
stand for
so.
this.
No.
Oh, and he's over the top rope. That means he's eliminated.
God, how funny would it be if that bonk on the head is what brings Getafix back? No
Well, Jover.
way. I'm trying to remember if in the original Big Fight movie it was also a bonk that brought
Oh,
him back from the
absolutely
brink.
not, Job. I remember. Okay, it's something similar to what happened in the comic. Again, remember, in the darkest hour possible, where everything is lost, Asterix has tried everything in his power and he still cannot succeed in saving everyone. Getafix is just fucking around with the cauldron, then takes a sip of what he's doing, subconsciously, and that is enough to restore his memory.
So that was a thing in both the comic and the original movie.
Well, the original movie made it much more tense as a situation, while the comics still maintained the comedic tone.
So in this case, it's literally just a bonk on the head that does it. I'm not sure if that's
I mean, to be
better
fair,
or kind of
I
weaker.
get the logic. Bonk on the head, scrambled, bonk on the head, restored.
True, that is something we see in a lot of them cartoons. But yeah, no, like, I'll admit, in this case, I wonder if the reason they changed it so that the big fight is literally lost is to, I guess, keep it so that Caesar is, technically honorable. Since, again, one thing we did mention that was kind of weird about Asterix and Obelix and the Gladiator, specifically the movie, was that Caesar was weirdly sinister for that movie. Up until the very end where they remember, oh yeah, this guy's supposed to be honorable and all that.
That's a consistent thing with the comic. Yeah, again, Caesar might be amicable and a bit chummy, depending on how the situations go and how sporty we can be towards the end and honorable. But you have to remember that he's still a conqueror at heart.
Mhm. The idea with the Asterix here seems to be that he's a conqueror and whatnot, but
Oh,
he is someone
oh, I
who
get what you're doing. Yeah, I think Asterix is about to exploit a loophole. Yeah. There's also technically Vercingetorix's, daughter, but, we haven't really done her story yet.
Can someone shoot him already?
Isn't she like kind of just in whenever the story needs something more dramatic? If I
No,
recall correctly,
she was just in one story, Asterix and the Chieftain's Daughter.
might as well play to the crowd.
Are you not entertained? Now, to be fair, this is kinda consistent with Roman architecture as discovered by historians. The Colosseum and other arenas were built entirely to be transformable, and with enough preparation, they could even replicate naval fights in them. Insane, but it was the age. People needed to do something to get entertained.
Look, this is why Rome called the shots for a good chunk of time here. They were just all that in a bag of chips when it came to their technology. Mind you, some of that technology was stuff they copied from others,
Obviously.
but, improved.
Oh, okay, so just like in The Secret of a Magic Potion, they set the village on fire again.
Hey, you said you wanted a show?
I mean, this is not... Damn, even the fire effects is the way it's animated.
So this is all Asterix's fault.
Well, hold on. Like Getafix pointed out, if Julius doesn't follow the rules, then that would leave some things null and void. Also, metadata. Did you not know that Rome has committed a good chunk of atrocities by this point? But who are the real barbarians?
Yeah,
you sounded the way you said that line, mate. You sounded a bit barbaric yourself.
the ragdoll physics of the fish. It's amazing that they managed to see it this far ahead. Mom, are you ever happy?
No, I won't be happy until you take over the entire world, and you still haven't.
It takes time, okay?
Oh, come on. Tell that to Hannibal. He had crossed the Alps already when he was barely but a 20-year-old.
With elephants.
Yeah, look what happened to him. Question, did Hannibal die? Are you doing that?
No.
No. Believe it or not, he technically survived the Second Punic War.
But he basically died in disgrace because Rome find, one of their ingenious tactics was to divide and conquer, so that Hannibal was forced to tuck tail and return back home.
Basically, he technically lived, but then apparently when word was that they were going to seize him in retirement, mind you, this was after he met with the Roman who did defeat him, which,
Scipio.
Get this, ironically enough, he made good friends with Scipio, of all things. He poisoned himself basically to avoid capture. But no, to give Hannibal credit, he really gave Rome a run for its money. Like, keep in mind, Second Punic War, it was really more so just Hannibal rather than Rome even going against Carthage and whatnot, essentially, and whatnot. And yet Hannibal nearly had them. it's arguably the only reason Hannibal didn't win was because, well, after the Battle of Cannae, essentially, he thought Rome would just come back to him and surrender and whatnot. What he didn't realize is that Rome is stubborn as all hell, essentially.
And back then, they did
Which-
not. Carthage not even had a nuclear device they could use to terrorize civilians. Oops.
Alas.
So I guess in this version, the epic confrontation that Asterix is having is on the roller coaster. Okay.
Yep, this is the big fight on a roller coaster.
Somebody really wanted an epic roller coaster fight.
It's worth noting that the roller coaster was also in the comics, but we are not, just not used in the climax. It's just that, again, the Roman had built this entire theme park.
Still, this is interesting, seeing Asterix actually have to put up a fight without the magic potion.
It's also one of the few times he actually uses his sword. It's actually not that common. Yeah, sure, everyone is the big fight.
Yep, the big fight was inside us all along.
Maybe the true big fight was the friends we made along the way. I mean, I guess it's a good showcase to show Vital Statistics' qualities as a leader, so...
Yeah, I just hope this doesn't mean that,
Okay.
10 million clicks, get it?
yeah, let's move on.
So, come here often? Wow, again, you must have been very sheltered to have not
To be
known what your
fair,
home country was doing.
It did showcase that she kind of was. She was just, chronicler. Just, putting
That is true,
things
yeah.
on paper.
True,
If
they
you
did
don't
mention
like
she was
this-
basically stuck in the equivalent of the basement.
I mean, you could do
Obelix?
things very better right now.
Yeah, Obelix, with all due respect, you're the only one with potion in your bloodstream, and,
Yeah,
Gauls are about to die. Again, I think one issue with the latter half of this series is that it does feel like they get a little tropey to try and stretch out the drama and, make it more climactic, which, isn't always the worst thing. But it does kind of make me roll my eyes a bit when, of course, we just gotta wait to the point where we get to here, yeah.
Wow, it wasn't even like a shot of him like perking his head up or anything like that. It's just all of a sudden, I'm gonna fight now, rag.
Look, Obelix, the script says you gotta get over yourself now, okay? We only have like 15 minutes left.
5 nights at Caesar's.
Coward.
I mean, yeah. Man, the show really wants to, amp up just how fucking deranged a General Centurion Fast and Furious is supposed to be, even with the red lighting and all.
Yeah, this movie is more lighthearted than the dark movies, but it still has its dark moments like this, emphasized by the lighting.
I'm kind of reminded of how Clayton looked in the climax of the Disney Tarzan movie.
Oh god, can you imagine if this
If he
ends
gets
for Fast and Furious
strangled.
similar to that?
No, this is still I get the idea that this is still at its core still a comedic take, so it's gonna just being punched and all. Again, the thing that I can say is that this still makes it 1,000 times more better than the original Big Fight, is because this remembers to be a comedy at its core, even in its darkest of moments.
Again, I'm not one to say that Asterix can never have darker moments. It's just the way that Big Fight and Gladiator did it was Well, it made it feel a bit unrecognizable as Asterix. No, wait, actually, I'm looking for a new apprentice. You could
There you
be
go.
that apprentice.
There you go. Getapix just activated ExpressVPN, which you can do till today.
But that's it. You gotta love how noble metadata is. She doesn't even want to see the true secret of the potion.
Again, I think it's just a tongue-in-cheek joke in regards to her name.
Whoa. Skybeam.
Wait. Hold on. Who drank the potion?
No, it was just the way it was created.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
Don't worry, he survived. Barely.
You know, Fast and Furious, maybe you should have just stabbed Asterix instead of pushing him.
Alright, she's still here. Oh. Yeah. Wee. God. That was actually the shot that
A
was
Star Wars
yeah,
shot.
that was at the beginning of episode 4.
Yeah.
Okay, I call bullshit on this. The Romans built, towers that could resist, siege towers that could resist.
I guess that was enough head trauma for her.
How did you get
How did
there
they
so
get
fast?
How did you
that
get here so
quick?
quick?
Did you have a teleport spell on you? Okay. Unless Getafix drank some of the potion, I wonder how we're gonna get out of this one. Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you, Potus. Yeah.
Are you advertising this to us right before you're going to kill us?
Protest, stop shilling and come on.
Wow. Even they made even the particle effect from the burning. Goddamn, these animators really just went with the extra mile of anything.
It's like the final fight scene from Lion King. Wow.
Yeah, we need a volunteer. Okay, here we go again.
To his credit, probably a wise thing, just in case Getafix fought like 10 steps ahead and messed with it. Oh, snap.
No, the one behind you, idiot.
Okay, well, here's something you can do. But before we fight, you must give a speech.
Poor Obelix
Oh,
got
snap.
dwarfed.
A Roman actually knocking Obelix out like that. And nonetheless, it's POTUS of all people. Can you tell how dramatic this is with the fires in the back? But yeah, that's a thing. Cool, you're on even ground with him. Doesn't mean you overpower him.
Yeah, the problem is that the Romans, remember, one of their big strategy was numbers. So if you have, 50 of them with the same capacity, that's kind of a bit of a problem.
It's going to take them a while to feed
Of course,
give it to all the
superhero
soldiers.
landing. Of course.
Oh god. Never thought you'd see the day when POTUS would actually be that threatening.
Okay.
Oh, and
now
he
he's got
summons the
Thor's
helmet
hammer.
back to him. I was about.
I'm sure that's a reference to something else, or maybe an anime, but I forgot in case. I mean, yes, I know
Ew,
it's
that's
not.
not sanitary.
No, it's not very hygienic, but you know.
Hey, why don't some of you go around Obelix and attack the rest of the Gauls? Although,
Or,
I guess
yeah,
to be
do that.
fair,
I
it
think
is
they want to just
Obelix.
make an example out of that. Like if their strongest, fails like that, they really have no chance. Jesus, how fucking sinister can you
Holy
make him?
cow! Jesus! Enjoy
He
that
he
for your
kind of looks like
nightmares, kids!
He kind of looked like Frollo instead in that shot. Yeah, I can definitely tell that they
He
were inspired
did.
by Renaissance Disney villains to make this guy.
Yeah, let's see. Again. Oh, and I guess Caesar can see all this from all that way back?
He's just that cool. What happened to Cleopatra?
I guess she's hanging out
She
in the
had pressing
Egyptian section.
engagements.
Yeah, fair enough.
But you're like, shouldn't Cleopatra...
Oh wow,
Oh,
they're
ha!
really doing the endgame thing. Okay.
Assemble! He even said assemble! Oh my god!
Well, that was I mean, it took 6 years.
Good. Oh,
There we go.
the Flying Romans, the new act.
Let me guess. Asterix spiked it with a delayed effect. Sorry, you won't be getting your endgame Avengers fight, but consider this correlation.
I mean, you could fly over the. I know they can't control it, can they?
They fly now?
Nope.
I thought one of them's at least trying not to float off.
Oh wow, they
Oh,
glow
man.
Technicolor and all. It's very pretty. Oh no, he's
Genius.
hulking out.
So is metadata gonna live with the Gauls? Because I don't think Caesar's going to be happy
get-
letting a traitor back
If I had
into
to
his
guess,
midst.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's very pretty colorful. Oh, please, don't tell me that actually impresses Caesar's mom.
I bet Hannibal would never have let this happen. It's all part of the show, people. Oh, get it? Only in America. Ha ha ha.
Is that a take on
It's
the
like
Chinese drones that form shapes that have been doing that a couple of years for now? Oh, see, that was the real
that.
surprise.
Well, look at
So,
that.
how do we get down?
You don't.
That's not a problem.
Your sacrifice is most worthy for making my mother happy, though. See, even Caesar reaps benefit out of it. Oh yeah, right, our village is kind of on fire.
The whole village on fire.
The whole village is on fire.
And now the Romes are cheering on the
I
Gauls.
guess we're actually getting the actual big fight at the very end. Maybe if that's the case, Jova, maybe it is what you said, that it was just padding.
Wikipedia. Oh my
Wikipedia.
god.
Yeah, Caesar has been getting her name wrong all the time. I noticed that. We must be better Romans. Yeah, it's a bit preachy, but I will take this for whatever Rome was doing.
All I recall from Rise Son of Rome is, oh god, the Romans are the good guys. Oh wait, no, the bad guys were within Rome after
A lot
all.
of,
I shouldn't.
as I think I mentioned with the Resident of Rome, a lot of medias these days love to have the hindsight of saying, oh no, don't you see, guys, the barbarian tribes had hindsight and were always, the good guys and Rome was exclusively evil, which, I don't know, it's a
Like,
bit naive and a bit oversimplifying, but oh, look at that, thumbs up. Wow. So even in this
oh,
version, Caesar is still a good sport at the end. 1 minute he was
I mean,
very
hey,
jolly in burning their village down. The other is like, whatever. You impressed my mom.
I hope they find another way to say like or dislike with a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Uh, uh,
Traitor.
yeah.
You are no Gaul.
Thank you. There you go. I guess at the very least we still kept without statistics kill throwing a punch without a magic potion and winning.
That said, damn, I guess that worked out well if he was able to punch him right out of the suit like that without the potion.
Again, that worked also.
And they're using the Romans as torches.
They did the same.
Well, I
again,
guess
it's kind of what happens similar to in the comic book. It's just that it had a bit more justification, but the point was that even still, the point was that even without a magic potion, without statistic, could still be a good leader and defend his village. I did like that in concept.
I will say it's funny because in this version, seeing that he's strong enough to have punched Cassius that high up without the potion, kind of makes you wonder if we.
I solemnly reject that way of thinking, Edafix. What is wrong with you?
Dio, you're thinking like a Roman. You gotta think like a Gaul.
The process is enjoying it.
I think maybe it's more of a case, but at this point, you just have to go along with it.
Guys, you do know how all this started, right?
But because Asterix is here, I guess, it's enough to give him courage.
But yeah, no, what I find weird is like showing that the chief could have probably have fought Cassius all along. Kind of makes you wonder why we even bothered with the whole swapping out the chiefs thing.
I think it's what you said, Jova, padding, because that did not happen in the comic.
I guess I find it weird since the first 3 episodes did add on content, but for the most part it felt like it worked out well. I do wonder if they had to pad out the last 2 episodes because, I don't know, maybe they had a 5-episode quota, or maybe they really did want to make 5 episodes, but at the last 2 realized, oh crap, we're kind of close to the point of the big fight.
Yeah.
But hey, they even invited some of the Romans to celebrate with them because they're just good sports like that.
Well, no, as they said, it's because we're using them as torches.
Well, I was talking about the Romans who were eating with them, like the commentators and apparently some Roman civilians.
Oh, it's adorable.
Aw, they worked things out.
Ha ha ha. You know what? I'll take it. It's clearly an original joke, but they really couldn't not resist, and I get it. Bravo.
Look, it ends in an IX, so there you go.
Of course they're going to do that.
So is there an after credit sequence?
I think there is, but I guess we can still start our final thoughts, Dibs.
Yeah, okay. I thought overall it was a strong series. It was just episode 4 that kind of let the side down. With how just kind of anticlimactic the whole thing felt.
Mm-hmm.
The big fight.
Yeah, it turns out the big fight was in his mind.
Well, don't you
Yes.
understand? As episode 5 pointed out, Glibs, the big fight was in us all, actually.
Like I said,
Sure.
even in the comic, the actual big fight did not really last that long, so I was not even expecting it to be a full-on match for an entire episode or something, like a wrestling match. But again, I'll mention more on my own. Continue, Libs.
I mean, the animation's pretty good. I can't imagine. I don't think does French cinema animation have that much of a budget compared to?
Like I said, Dweebs, I think it was a case where Netflix fitted the bill. From what I checked, the Astier and Clichy, the guys who made the previous CG animated movies, basically passed the torch to the director of this series, which basically with their blessing. So it's still kind of a continuation of those previous two adaptations or CGI movies, just in a different format with a different person that got still consultants from them.
I suppose the music again. It's nothing particularly memorable, but it's it fits the environment. Then there's the odd. Then there's the really a lot more use of the pop culture modern music than in any of the other Asterix films that I've seen. I mean, what next? In the next film, are we going to have the
Skrillex,
Illumination
yes.
track list?
No, probably just something like Skrillex, because remember, Blaves, some of the previous Asterix movies did have music that was fitting for their time, like especially the 80s movies,
I'm surprised. Yeah, if this series were more popular in Japan, they'd get Square Enix to publish it just because it has an X at the end.
Well, that's also that would be hilarious. But remember, Waves, the arcade beat 'em up when we commented it on was actually instead published by Konami, I think. But back then they
Hmm.
were doing a bunch of arcade beat 'em ups based on Western properties like The Simpsons and TMNT.
That is true. Konami were one of the arcade breeding giants of the time.
Hmm. And hey, the English voice acting was pretty good all around. That was the funniest thing. We ever recognized one of the voice actors for doing a bunch of NPCs in Hitman. I actually reckon. I just reading the English cast list on this. I actually recognize another one of the actors.
Um,
He played Cassius Ceramics, Stuart Scudamore. He was one of the major targets in the second of the World of Assassination trilogy.
yeah, I checked through the cast list for the English dub, and they really picked
Oh, the
people.
London Symphony Orchestra.
British people with not that much of under their belt, probably because they might have been, less costly to actually be hired. But from the little that I checked in between episodes, they seem to have been doing, just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's interesting they went to the London Symphony Orchestra for this. I guess does Paris have a famous orchestra that I don't know of?
No idea, but it's worth noting, Waves, that a lot of foreign countries do use the London Symphony Orchestra for their stuff, even Japan, for example, just because it's more comfortable for them.
I'll check on the internet at the moment to see if there's any info. But yeah, overall, episode 4 aside, I thought it was all pretty solidly handled, especially for a Netflix movie, which I know doesn't exactly have the best reputation in the world when it comes to more of their original projects. Because this was one that they funded from the start, wasn't it?
Yeah. Again, you have to treat it as a property that is already known, but Netflix put the bill for a new series, similar to what happened to Scott Pilgrim and He-Man.
Yeah, and yeah, France does have a they have it's called the Orchestre Nationale de France.
Close enough.
Okay, yeah, that's me done. I'll stick around to see the
Which is, I
post
think, it's
credit
about
scene.
to happen now.
Mm-hmm. Tats.
Mission Potager. Wow, very different animation style.
Ah, there's the short. Is this
Yeah.
I thought this would be the short movie they played before the film, not after.
I guess it's time to see what things are like from the Boris perspective, given...
Well, it's never a
know,
good sign. Thank you, Mr. Squirrel.
Oh, crud.
Well, at least you're far away from Asterix and
Oh.
Obelix.
Oh.
About that.
Oh, well, this is much worse.
Literally in the slaughterhouse.
Well, at least your death would be quicker.
I wonder
Alright.
if Obelix at this point has a reputation among all boars and
Yes,
whatnot.
most likely.
No, you fools! That's how you get plumpened up.
That's how they fatten you up.
You're basically
At least they're
doing their
enjoying
work
themselves.
for you.
Oh no.
Oh.
Wait,
No
they have
balls.
a guard goose?
Welcome to Untitled Goose Game 2, I guess.
So does this mean the Gauls have a goose as like their guard dog, basically?
remember
for the
that in
guard?
the
They
other
give,
comics,
they give the potion to the goose.
Probably.
I love how these boars legit want that feast so bad. Never mind the fact that you're in the territory where you're most likely to get eaten. Survival instincts, what are those?
Alright, welcome instead to a game about digging a hole. Yeah, no.
Oops. Okay, I have to believe that they're feeding that goose the magic potion too.
Oh, I guess this was happening around the same time as the other episode, I guess.
Oh, so this is what was going on during the big fight.
Do these guys ever give up?
Ooh, that's gonna burn.
Literally. we actually bumped onto the magnifying glass. That's cute.
So yeah, this is literally what they were doing while the movie.
And yeah, somehow ended up on Metadata's magnifying glass.
Okay. Oh, there you go. The goose does indeed work for the Gauls. I guess, like you said, this is something completely new for this.
Yeah, I don't remember that being a thing in a comic, so... Oh. Hi.
Oh dear.
Ow. And the goose died, I guess.
Nope! He didn't hear no bell. Oh, crud. Are they as bad as the Cuckoo Squad, I wonder?
Oh no.
Should have just let the vegetables go.
Oh, just in time for the village to be burned. I guess that's what happened to them. God damn it.
Dang. So these guys legit were so persistent to get those vegetables that across all the time of the big fight, they were just trying to get them.
Oh, that's sweet.
At least they made it back home.
That's sweet. I guess that's what happened to the boar. Okay, fair enough, I guess.
Oh, very
random. He didn't die at the end.
It's nice, I guess.
I wonder if it was just a case where the animation team had extra budget for a small thing, and they were like, yeah, let's fuck around a bit, why not?
That wouldn't surprise me, and that's a good segue to my final thoughts here. I do feel like this is a project that's actually brimming full to the content that they packed in, and I do wonder if the reason for a lot of the padding, well, it wasn't because they were mandated to, but just because they had the budget to, and they figured, all right, let's put this to really fill it up and whatnot. Because I will say this, overall, I do feel like the big fight is a great Asterix project and whatnot. It's fun, it's got, for the most part, its tone balanced well enough. It has some darker moments, but those mostly amount to like a bit of scary imagery. Nothing like, terribly mentally scarring and whatnot, like some of the darker, older movies could be like. No, I think it's overall good. I will say this, though. The first 3 episodes, they're completely solid. I do feel like episode 4 is where some of the cracks start to show. I feel like episodes 4 and 5 do feel a bit padded here and there. Like, again, maybe, like Tia suggested, it was their plan to subvert our expectations all along, but I guess, like you said, in the original comics, the big fight wasn't that big either, but I do feel like the big fight at least, did even things out by showing that their leader was capable.
It was
I'm
also a
guessing
pacing thing. In the comic, the big fight happens, and then the Romans attack anyway. In here, it's basically kind of it happens in reverse, kinda, sort.
I do wonder if the main idea was to have it be so that the Romans legitimately win to keep Caesar looking, at least for the most part, honorable as opposed to reneging on the deal and whatnot all along. Although I do think it makes it weird that he does stuff underhanded when in reality it's like, dude, your guy won. Just tell them, okay, deal's a deal, and that's it. I don't know why they suddenly needed to have him go, like, underhanded when there was literally no reason to. He had won by that point. I get it. I guess it's to maybe leave some room open for metadata to then reason to his better well-being, and he considers it a win since his mother's finally impressed. Like, yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. He shares more screen time with his mom than with Cleopatra.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Cleopatra
that's
just
also
gets
supposed to be some commentary
Cleopatra
on
just gets the
something.
one scene where she's also arriving at the scene, but nothing. I wonder if she was supposed to have like a few other scenes just to stand in the background, but they did not put those or something.
I wonder if a lot of the scenes with Caesar's mom was meant to originally be with Cleopatra nagging him to do better, like a married couple, of course. I don't know. It's just stuff that's up in the air. Again, like I said, episodes 4 and 5 are the only episodes that do make me go, huh? What? And mind you, I am not in any way saying that they're bad. It's just that I feel like they're kind of the weaker bits, which is a shame because episodes 1 through 3 are pretty solid stuff overall. And again, I do feel like the show ends a little abruptly, like, okay, so now that Cassius is disgraced, what does this mean for his village? And metadata, is she, like, okay to go back home? Like, I know she reasoned with Caesar, but won't a lot of soldiers kind of consider her a traitor and possibly
If I had to
either...
guess, assuming that she just wanted to stay with the Gauls, I guess she would just return to her job as just a chronicler in the basement, just
Which makes
knowing the
me
truth.
I guess it makes me wonder though, since like there are a lot of soldiers who do know the truth, if she'd be like, I don't know, put to death or whatnot.
Considering she seems to be working for the main political palace for Rome, I guess she's under the direct protection of Caesar. I don't know, just speculation. It's not particularly
Maybe.
important. I'm assuming they don't actually have a return in a future adaptation potentially.
I will say, I kind of wish that they had committed to metadata actually being an antagonist. Like, I'll admit, like, from the minute I saw her and got her role, I was like, okay, you're gonna be like the token good Roman, kind of like the family from Mansion of the Gods. Although the difference is, like, the family at least still went back to Rome since they were, like, basically nobodies and whatnot. They were people who were pretty much just jostled around in the side effects of Caesar's plan, which, makes sense as to why they turned on Caesar since they weren't having it. Metadata, though, I kind of wish he could have stayed on as an antagonist. Sure, not an underhanded one and one who would maybe be appalled at some of the more underhanded techniques, but I would have at least liked to have seen her be the antagonist who tries to think of, more creative ways of taking down the Gauls and whatnot. Especially since I do think she could have had potential as a returning character, though. Oh well, I guess in the grand scheme we can just consider this another Asterix animated project. It's not even like the original movies had much continuity, if any, between them anyway, so, it is what it is. I don't mind the use of the pop music. What I do think is the best thing about this is the animation. Like, they clearly spared no expense, and if Netflix was the one who granted them the ability to do all this stuff, bravo. Like, I feel like they combined the best of all worlds with 3D, stop motion or something simulating stop motion, and even a little bit of 2D animation and whatnot. Um, the voice acting seems on point as usual. The humor seems pretty good overall. I'll admit, I was expecting to maybe cringe at a bit of some of the newer jokes, but Nah, it's Asterix. Asterix tends to get the pass with even a lot of stuff that would normally make you groan. But I feel like for the most part, they make it work essentially. I mean, and let's be honest, you're not going to Asterix to try and get the most accurate accounts of history anyway.
Unless you're, versus Caesar, the versus Caesar movie, where we need to include, a very, goofy comedic moment followed immediately by attempted rape.
Oh, yeah, right. The Versus Caesar movie is the one I always talk about when I say the Gladiator movie, but
Yeah, it has
yeah,
different names,
ergo,
Jova. Don't worry, it's fine.
fair enough though. It's like, yeah, no, that like I said, that movie is so bonkers and weird. And like in a case that just makes you ask why, which no, for the most part, I never felt myself asking that much with this show. Only maybe with episodes 4 and 5, and overall I can say I still enjoyed it and whatnot. Some cliches aside. And hey, the little extra 2D cut showing what was happening in the village while they were away was nice too. So yeah, no, like if this is an indication of what we can come to expect from projects with Netflix regarding Asterix, I'm all for it for them to do either more adaptations or some new original stuff here, since the episode structure format does fit it. I will say, part of me does wonder if maybe if they did have to pad something, it may have just been to reach each episode runtime. I do imagine a supercut of this working as a movie that could have maybe cut off some of the fat and whatnot. But again, I digress. It is what it is as a series, and I like it. Very good format, very good execution. Tio, your final thoughts.
Yeah, as for me, similar to what the rest of you said, outside of the decisions that they made in episode 4, this is still really, a fun ride overall. The animation is pretty much on point, if not even more, obviously, with the CGI movie, which, as I stated multiple times, even those had very great animation. So this is just upping the ante and everything. The music has been also fine, solid for what he wanted to do. The voice acting, has also been fine. I've ever to listen a bit in between episodes to the English dub because me and Jova had the ones with the original French, in it. And again, for what they wanted to do, it's fine. This is not clearly like Asterix Conquers America, where we get the scenes where they're drugged with the peyote and clearly smoking, and then immediately Asterix is like, he's lipped us a Mickey! But no, really, what matters now is the story and the changes they made to it. Because since it's a relatively early comic that Goshin Uderzo made, the big fight is fairly simple as a story that they made. So I can understand most of the changes that they did, including people like metadata. Or having even stuff like the commentators with Hanna-Barbera. You can make the argument that that might also be a mandate from Netflix because they kind of built a meme, out of them, telling to adaptation to be inclusive about, gender and racial identities for characters. But I will actually consider to this series for two very specific reasons. One, I don't believe it really is. As preachy as in some other cases usually tend to get. And second, most importantly, we have to remember that, particularly Uderzo, I cannot speak much for Gorshini's, writing style, but Uderzo in particularly was not particularly kind, very chauvinistic, and let's not forget that he inserted, racist imagery, particularly in regards to black people. So, if anything, this is
Hmm.
actually a welcome change of pace, if you ask me. And
Although,
honestly,
from what I've seen from the upcoming 2026 project, we still have that issue with the
the Nubians.
slaves.
Oh,
Uh,
lovely. Well, I guess we'll have to find out when we get there. But again, I'm talking specifically for this. Again,
okay.
for this, it works just fine if you ask me. No, really, the real core that is the sticking point will be how episode 4 ends. Netflix has also built a reputation about taking the worst aspect of subverting expectations and playing on aspects in marketing on telling you this is an adaptation of a thing you remember, and then pulling the rug at the last second, in order to cause surprise to the viewer, and that has been polarizing, to say the least. I have mentioned He-Man and Scott Pilgrim for a very good reason, because they've been subject to this kind of thing. But we're not here to discuss those. I'm just here to tell that for this case, I'm technically fine with it. But I concede that it comes a bit out of nowhere, and it catches you off guard, and could have been worked so much better, if you ask me. So, if there's one part of the script that could have used a bit of a rewrite, would have been that. But yeah, the speculation that Jova and I had that it was just to pad out for the sake of extended to the 5 episode runtime that they had, that was probably the best excuse that they could have had, because they had to combine a couple of things. One, the Obelix, the stage fright that Obelix has, which is a thing in the comic but wasn't present in the big fight. The fact that Asterix and Obelix get separated, recurrently, but then usually for the climax they get united. And an excuse also to have maybe the Romans still acting evil, but not having the component of being sore losers at the very end, similar to instead what happened in the comic. I don't know. The inclusion also of Caesar's mom, which, as I mentioned, she's a complete new character, but she hasn't appeared before, feels interesting, and she's the final excuse on which Caesar is like more chummy again, similar to how it was at the end of stuff like Caesar's Surprise or the 12 Tasks. But I don't have too much of a problem with it, but I am curious about the thought process behind it. No, really. Okay, at the end, again, summation that I can give is that it's not the most perfect Asterix product ever. I think it probably might still be either 12 Tasks to me or Secret of a Magic Potion. Secret of a Magic Potion obviously has the animation going on, but I really genuinely do believe the story of 12 Tasks is still stronger. Especially, even taking aside the whole acting as a conclusion, just the idea of the journey, the things that they witness. What these annotation and Secret of Magic Potion have also more is that it allows to play up more about the village as a whole instead of being just Asterix and Obelix. But to be fair, those two are the ones in the title, so just saying. So again, I don't mind it too much. Even stuff like changing the identity of the psychiatrist, it's there for a good joke. A couple of ones at that, which does reminds me to even talk about the more pop culture references, because those are more recent kind of stuff, not just for the songs, but also for referencing stuff like Star Wars or or even the Netflix joke at the very end. It's just a thing. Like, I get that he probably will make this dated in around 5 years, let's just say that. But that's, to be fair, is also a thing that the comics did have on their own. Asterix in Corsica is particularly infamous because, as noted everywhere, it references a political scandal that happened at the time the book was written, but these days nobody remembers, so it's a reference that is very lost to people. So the Asterix stories are firmly cemented in what they do in taking advantage of the time they're made. So, you take it what you can have. Again, at the end of the day, could have been worked better in some aspect, but I really did enjoy it. And again, more animated Asterix is always good in my book, so please keep it coming. We know that there's apparently a CGI movie again in the works, Asterix in Nubia, I think it is, which is
Kingdom of
apparently
Nubia, yeah.
which is apparently another original tale and not adapting from one of the books, which is a shame. I would like to, have more adaptation before they start to be committed to the whole making original stories. But again, who knows? Maybe we'll
Now, from
see.
what I hear, it will bring back some characters from Mansion of the Gods, most notably Flaturfa, the one who wasn't the head slave, basically. So, like I said, we'll see how they tackle, black people with this one.
Here's
Please,
hoping that
hopefully
things will.
better.
Well, that's what we'll have to find out. Again, as I said, more Asterix, animated Asterix, is always good in my opinion, even if the quality turns out to be bad. I think the effort is worth taking the risk at the very least, because this is still one of the best European comics ever made, if you ask me. So, at the very least, worth a try. If it fucks up, we'll be there to actually point it out. So, don't worry about that. But
I do agree. One bad misstep should not end the series either.
I still wouldn't mind again this format done for another adaptation. Again, yes, as you'd say, Netflix label this is a limited series, but so that's just their excuse to say this is self-contained. A season two will not make sense to continue in this. But making
Pretty
another
much.
season tied to another adaptation with this kind of format, I wouldn't mind, honestly.
Same.
Especially if Netflix is there to feed the bill and all. So
How funny would it be if the next adaptation they do is either like Soothsayer or
I
Gladiator?
will just be fine if they actually adapt one of the books that has never adapted before. Honestly, the one book that really fits this formula of a series is Asterix and the Chariot Race, or as it's called in French, the Transitalique, because it's a structure similar to like a NASCAR race where they start from one point and they have to do an entire long trait before arriving at the finish line, so it can be perfectly segmented into the episode, arriving in each town and doing something different with different contestants and all. It kind of fits the formula that Netflix will do, so I do hope that maybe if there is another season, with this kind of thought process, they adapt that book. But who knows? We'll have to see what happens. In the meantime, I guess stay tuned for when Kingdom of Nubia gets released, I suppose. See ya.
See you
See ya.
then.